Hello and welcome back to NoBS. Today we return to talking about Candace Owens, this video vlogger and former YouTuber turned political activist and conservative. Well, she's been in the news quite a bit the last few weeks. We covered her initial video and live stream about a week ago, and it got a lot of buzz from you guys, as did the world. A lot of people covered it, and a lot of people started turning to Candace Owens's live stream, and it had some really good details in it. As we discussed when it came out, she was straight spitting facts and kind of getting backlash for it because, she's not really easy to attack. That's why the whole situation got a little volatile. I mean, she's a black female American speaking her mind for conservative people. She supports Trump. She leads the charge in this whole Blexit movement, like black people leaving the Democratic plantation. And now she's getting flack for her response to the George Floyd Minneapolis situation. And essentially, to sum the video up, she went over how black communities are the only community to prop up and martyr these criminals, these bad people who do very bad things. They get arrested all the time. They hurt people. They held people hostage. George Floyd was in and out of jail for many years and had committed many crimes involving illegal narcotics, taking someone hostage, like all kinds of bad stuff. And now he's a hero. And that's just something you don't see in other communities. You don't see white people or brown people kind of putting these bad figures up on a pedestal. I mean, it would be like if a bad country took their dictator and worshiped them, like a North Korea kind of thing. Like they're worshiping bad people in these communities, and it's leading to them having these bad role models and thinking that these crimes are okay in a lot of ways too. So that was the essential premise. And then later on in her video, she went on to talk about Floyd's past history, which involved many arrests, many stints in jail, many bad things like we mentioned. He's stolen, he's had weapons, held people hostage, involved with drugs. All that stuff has popped up, and she just wanted to bring that up. And it's not to defend anything. Like, no one's saying he should have died or that the police that arrested him and did the bad thing, like, they should be punished still too. But the point is, Floyd did a lot of things that led to his death. It wasn't 100%, oh, this guy just came up and shot him for no reason. No, it was because he had a life of crime. He did some bad things leading up to his arrest. He tried to spend like a fake $20 bill. And then when he got arrested, he seemed like he was high. He resisted arrest in a number of ways, like he was flailing. They wouldn't let him put him in the car. It took 4 guys to get him down and to get him calmed down. And that's what resulted in the knee, which definitely lasted too long and was brutal and was a major factor in his death. But there were other factors too, and that's the point. He did a lot of things that led him up to that situation, which wasn't even all that. I mean, not only did he have drugs in his system, he had other health issues too, including having caught COVID a month before. So he had that issue, which is a issue that affects your breathing. And that could be another reason why he said he couldn't breathe and all that stuff. So all this stuff is just the context. This is real context, not liberal context where they try to rewrite history and pull out things that they want you to see, cherry picking. No, we're giving you the full story. And that's really what Candace Owens was trying to do. And the follow-up today is she's doubling down and kind of supporting her original stance, which she should. She got a lot of attention for it. And now she's coming back with some more responses. This is the initial tweet. It reads, "I've had time to reflect on my video about George Floyd, and you guys were right. I was very wrong. He went to prison 9 times, not 7. I missed 2 earlier convictions for theft and drugs. But he started a new chapter with meth and fentanyl, and let's throw our hero 2 more funerals." So this happens. The guy just had a funeral yesterday, just this week, and I don't want to be like crapping on that or anything. That's a sad thing, and we should respect when someone dies. Like, I'm not trying to be anti-Floyd, but the narrative is getting out of control, and it's just dishonest and not fair. It's just really messed up. And that's why we need to combat it and give you guys some real facts on the case. Like, people don't even know that he resisted arrest. Like, people didn't even know he had all this other stuff in his history, his arrests, his drug abuse, holding people hostage. Another thing people didn't know is he was a porn star. There's a lot of details. And sure, people might say this doesn't matter, this doesn't matter. That's true. Some of it doesn't matter. The porn star thing is kind of just like a random tangent. Like, he happened to be in some videos about that. But it's still interesting, and it tells you about this person's character. I mean, Wouldn't you think you'd look into this if it was like a white person that got shot and they resisted arrest and did all these things? Like, I'm pretty sure the press would be digging up all kinds of dirt on him, just like how they do with other figures. If conservative figures get all their dirt dug out and thrown out in the pasture, Trump has stuff made up about him because they can't find any dirt. So the fact that people just want to know what happened with the guy isn't really the worst thing. Now, here's another related tweet. It says, I've watched countless videos of Trump supporters being attacked in the streets simply due to their support of Trump. Let's call this what it is, a hate crime. And as we return to legislature next week, I'll be introducing legislation that'll make it such. So this is a problem real people kind of want to worry about and think about, but people don't really say anything about it because all they care about is minorities, and they say all those are hate crimes, but they ignore these other hate crimes that are really happening. They're really based on hate. They're really attacking people for wearing red MAGA hats. But are they really attacking people like for being black? Like, are we hearing anything about that? Like, we're not hearing them say any racial slurs or anything like that. It's just assumed racism, and it's basically their shield because every time something happens to a black person, they say it's racism. And it's like, how can you defend that? Like, there's no real justification. It's just all the leftists are going along with it. And remember, it's election season. So when liberals go along with that, it's really just them trying to get their votes. I mean, they're just trying to get the black vote again. They're kind of starting to lose it. And they are kind of people like Candace Owens and other strong conservative blacks that are moving towards the Trump camp. And this is our push to get the black community back. That's part of it, for sure. Ariel says, adore you both. I love you. What kind of person puts this much effort of speaking ill of someone who was murdered tragically? Still not convicted of murder. I think it probably was a murder, though. I don't know, but they act like the guy did it out of nowhere. Like this sounds like someone just shot him on the street in the middle of the head, but it wasn't like an outright murder. It was like an accidental death that happened after a brutal kind of hold down. Like if he wanted to kill the guy, he would have snapped his neck. He wouldn't have held him down and tried to cuff him and put him in a police car. Doesn't make sense. Anyway, the next tweet says this. Fact, Black Lives Matter riots have destroyed more innocent black lives in the last month than white police officers have in a decade. And there it is. As the next tweet says, this is perfectly summing up what's going on. These BLM people, they don't really care about like black lives and the destroying and killing of them. They're actually causing things to be worse. I mean, these riots have killed many people, like dozens of people. They've destroyed black businesses, minority neighborhoods. They're really destructive. They're not helping like they claim. They have these messages and these points and these talking points and these demands, and they call everyone racist. But at the end of the day, it's really not that proven. I mean, they're just talk. They're not really showing you anything. They're just saying, oh, there's white supremacy. Oh, look, there's systemic racism. Look, it's right here. You see it? You see it? This is racism. You see that? You see it? It's in the air. It's racism in the air. Sorry, I'm just getting so delusional and sick of this. It's like they're really seeming like they're crazy people because that's what they'd say about racism. They act like it's in the air. I mean, they don't have any proof of it. I mean, if it was a concrete thing, we'd have a video and then it'd be like, oh, this guy's racist. And then he says a racist thing. Or this person is hiring people based on race. And then it's like, no, there's no proof of that. You got to have proof. Like, you got to have proof. I don't know where these guys get the idea that they can just say or do whatever they want. It's just entitlement. It's just really lame and messed up. And we only get to see them again on 2024. That's right. Black Lives Matter disappeared ever since 2016. And conveniently, they come up right before an election. Very interesting. Make that money, Candace. These are responses. Putting fact in the front of a BS statement doesn't make it a fact. You wouldn't post it unless it's a fact. I mean, what's not true about this? Where's the lie? We've seen the riots. We've seen them destroy the communities. It doesn't necessarily have to be like killings either. We know that dozens of people died. Far more people died, like over 20 people died from these riots, which were caused by one death in Minneapolis that sure was tragic, was terribly bad. No one's defending that, but their response is worse than the crime. Your response is making things worse for these communities too, because you don't just destroy someone's life by killing them. You can actually make things worse than death by taking away their job and their abilities to earn and making them poor and have to live on the streets. And then next step is they're going to take away law enforcement so those streets aren't safe anymore. You can just go up and steal and kill or hurt the bums. Kids are going to beat up the bums for fun because there's no cops around. I mean, there's other ways to destroy people's lives. And I think BLM is certainly guilty of a lot of this. This is on their feet. This is them being kind of hypocritical and working towards the opposite of what they say their cause is. And it just goes to show, like, this Black Lives Matter phrase, it doesn't really mean what it says. It seems very simple and like, oh, it's saying black people matter. That's not bad on its face. But we also know that they also are singling out black people because they hate white people. So it's an anti-white thing in a lot of ways. We've seen it play out. And we've also seen it how they don't care about the real issues for black people. Like, they only care when it's a white on black crime. That's the thing. If Black Lives Matter really cared about them, there's a number of things they do differently. First of all, they wouldn't have disappeared since 2016 and basically gone off the map just because, oh, it's not election season, we might as well take a break. I guess they got lazy. And then on top of that, they would address the real problems in black communities. Like, for example, they're killing themselves far more than this one little example of a cop killing a guy. The truth is, blacks are having gang wars in Chicago right now, but BLM doesn't even talk about that. Not even a peep. So they're not addressing the real issues. They don't really care. They care about race baiting and making it political and going after white people. That's why they do that. Because the reason they only point out white on black crimes is because they want to take that and say white people are racist. And then they also say cops are racist, which to them is kind of the same thing. Cops and white people are almost equivalent. But that's a false idea too, because we know cops are typically just as diverse as their community. So if you're in Baltimore and it's mostly black, the cops are mostly black. They're run by black sergeants and black police directors and all that. And so it's just ridiculous to have that assumption. And the idea that Black Lives Matter actually cares about black people is ridiculous too. That about wraps things up. I hope you guys enjoyed today's video. Make sure you like and comment your thoughts on everything below. Also, make sure you're having enough breakfast for your mornings and make sure you eat a healthy lunch too. It'll make you have a better day. And until next time, you guys have a great day.